Exploring the unknown. From conspiracies to mysteries, you are entering the conspiracy sector.
Well, welcome everyone to this very, very special program. 'Tis the season to be trick-or-treating. I am Aubrey Batchelor. This is Chris Jacobs, and you are entering the conspiracy sector. Well, Halloween season is upon us once again, and it's time for ghouls and goblins and everything in between. Chris and I want to wish you all happy Halloween. But I can't believe it's yet upon us again, Chris. I know this is our favorite time of year. The energies are rampant. Tis the season. When it comes to all four seasons, we're going into winter, which is the death of seasons, and the spring, the rebirth. So this is just a very special time of year, energetically, spiritually. It can be for you mentally and physically if you adapt your mind and body to that. And it's time for the freak show, I like to call it. We got a good one for you. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things regarding Halloween. We'll interweave stories. We're going to talk about a lot of Celtic creatures. We're going to talk about a lot about your fanciful Halloween lore and creatures and everything in between. Just too much to talk about. I can't really wrap it up in a simple
sentence. Oh yeah, Halloween is a huge topic. One of my favorite times of year as well. With the way the energies are. Sometimes you can get the good with the bad. You see a mix of all of it around this time of year, and it always ramps up. The closer it gets to this time of year, it was originally the Samhain, and it became Halloween because of All Hallows Eve and Samhain being merged together. You have Halloween now, so it's a special time of year where veils are thinning dimensionally, and you also see things in different frequencies that you wouldn't normally see any other time of year, unless you have the eyes for it. That is, but it's harder to the further away you get from this time of year.
And that's what I enjoy about Halloween as well, just interweaving these real mystical events that happen, for people, different ones for different people, but then, matching that with like traditional lore and party and celebration of Halloween, just the traditional values of it. Interweave with everything that we humans have made out of Halloween. Is just a special time of year, and I think it's one that we always need to enjoy, and I just wish that it was a payday off.
Oh yeah, I wish it was a federal holiday. It's literally one of the only holidays to never been given federal holiday status, like Christmas or Thanksgiving.
I just I wish people would have a more traditional way of celebrating it. Actually really get into the lore and get into everything it is that is eerie and freaky and amazing and weird in our lives, this is the perfect time of year to do it. I don't know, it's just everything about it. Energetically, spiritually, physically, mentally, the list goes on and on and on. Emotionally, the time of year that you can rediscover yourself and implement new things. It's the perfect time, heading into the end, going into the new sort of a deal. And I don't know. I love soaking up the sun. Being down in Arizona with you recently, that was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
100-degree heat, but there's something special about the fall. Especially up here. Just because you get all four seasons.
Here you get two seasons, maybe three, but
yeah, like a day or 2 days of the three.
Yeah, you get summer, and you get essentially. There's some cold here. Like last year, it got to record lows was -10. It might as well have been Nebraska, but now, it seems to be all right here so far. We're in the 70s now.
Lucky. Actually, it's been hotter here than it has there. Then that's weird.
That is true.
There's another episode for you in the future. If anybody's ever heard of weather manipulation or weather modification.
Yeah, that's a perfect episode. Yeah.
That could probably become part of Halloween, as scary as it is. Probably, I don't know.
That's an episode all by itself. Is weather control? That would be harp and all those things. Yeah, that would be great.
I know. Angels don't play this harp, baby. Well, let's get into some of these creatures then.
Mm-hmm.
How about I get into it first here? I'll share a good one with you.
All right.
It's known as a Doulahan, which is
Dulahan.
kind of known as the Headless Horseman. Yes, first. Let me go here. Go here. You in?
Yep, I see it.
We're in. Right, this comes from the Irish Times as well. In Celtic lore, it comes from a different. There's three main versions of it, if I remember correctly, and this is Celtic mythology, and it's probably Brickian, I would imagine, when it comes to the Celtic classification. How tales of the Headless Horseman came from Celtic mythology. The Doulahan was a malevolent harbinger who demanded blood sacrifice in the form of decapitation. And this is an article from Jessica Traynor. She kind of gives a pretty good history roundup of this creature, or story, legend, lore. But it's funny because every culture, no matter where you're at, has a similar story to this, just kind of variated. You notice maybe there was something like this running around or something. Creepy psychopath that was running people down on these horses.
Yeah, this sounds like a reptilian to me because they're involved in a lot of blood sacrificial anything, and anything also to do with decapitations also has to do with them. That's the only way to kill one of them is to decapitate them. But what it was doing by doing the decapitations is it was essentially when these creatures use their magic, they have to show it's like sometimes it's opposing polarity, like basically how to kill it in the process. Essentially, it has to make it work, or how to defeat it. So it tells you essentially an instruction manual in one roll. That is, if people are paying attention. Yeah, any blood sacrificial anything. They have to get consent from the person to be sacrificed, and they have to get people to really, really be scared by it in order to get the energy from it as well. So that I can see how the Doulahan would be more of a reptilian life form.
Makes sense. Sounds like a blood-sucking creature, sucked the life force straight out of you.
Mm-hmm.
The Doulahan, or also known as the Headless Horseman, the legend of a decapitated horseman carrying his own head, is one that crops up in numerous European storytelling traditions. From the Middle English of the Gawain into the Green Knight to the stories of the Brothers Grimm, Headless Horsemen abound, haunting the highways and byways of remote locations and even occasionally meandering our city streets. The Doulahan, Dark Man, was a malevolent harbinger of death whose roots lie in Celtic mythology. And I know that it says that the Doulahan, if you see it, there's going to be imminent death. It's like a harbinger. If you see you or somebody close to you, it's going to not be here very much longer.
Like hearing a banshee, essentially, it's like a death.
There's the combination with other such that lore stories and creatures that there's always these creatures share similar aspects and traits, I guess, across different cultures. That's what makes it extremely interesting in my mind. That's why nothing or not everything can be made up or just created or fabricated or misidentified. I know not all these stories are true, but damn sure some of them have to be.
Well, sometimes it's disinformation thrown out there by different reptilians and different Agarthan tribes to try to create a mythology or a haunting to keep people away from like a haunted site or something like that. Aliens will do that to keep people away from a place too. I came to find out. They will. That's how they keep people away. Also, what's interesting, you brought up the Green Knight with the Brothers Grimm. In Arthurian mythology, the Green Knight, there was a version of the Green Knight that was reptilian looking and had scales. And there's an old picture of the Green Knight that I happen to find. I can't find it now, unfortunately, but it's a profile picture where he's ready to fight a couple of the Knights of the Round Table. And there's an image above each of the knights of what symbol, categorizes them. Like some have swords and chalices and stuff like that, or shields. This guy had basically a reptilian eye above his head, and basically what a draconian eye would look like, or like a crocodile eye above him. And this was right above his head. in the picture. So that's interesting. You brought up the Green Knight in association with the Dullahan because it seems that they're the one and the same.
That's cool.
From underground, the reptilians are underground doing a lot of this. So yeah.
That's cool. How can you not love that? Yeah, that's exactly what everybody needs to be talking about on Halloween.
Exactly. Yeah, the fact that it's all linked across cultures like that, you nailed it. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. So just to continue a little bit with him, he's kind of a harbinger of death, and I guess another one, that could be a harbinger of death is the Grim Reaper. Those two could share similar traits there.
That's also the same. That's also the same. The thing. It's good you brought the Grim Reaper up, the most Halloweeny thing of all time, because that's essentially Orion. Essentially, they're the harbingers of doom, essentially for galactic history and for basically the bosses of the reptilians. They're seen a lot in black hoods, and they're like these frail looking creatures. Essentially, they're gray and elf put together. Essentially, if you look into Celtic myth and lore, they're Fomorian, or from Orion, the rivals of the Tuatha De Danann, the elves back then. There was a war between the elves and the Fomorians, and the Fomorians lost. And so, eventually, in Celtic myth and lore, humans defeated the Tuatha later on in history. But the Tuatha, I found out, went into a different dimension and went underground. But the Fomorians went to different parts of the globe, one of which was during the Black Death. Day before the Black Death, their people were spraying the crops just prior to the Black Death being spread. And people saw guys in masks and everything, in hoods and masks. That's also where you get the bird doctors from. There were some of these Fomorians spread throughout where some of these plague victims were, and there were good people in there as well. But some of them in the bird masks were some of these Fomorians that were keeping watch. And it goes back to the Anunnaki, which controlled the reptilians, which some of them are in bird forms too. So that the Grim Reaper form, essentially harbinger of death, but at the same time, people were depicting a guy with a sickle that looked like a skeleton in a hood. That's what these Fomorians look like. They're white, they're skeletal looking, and they have a device that looks like a sickle that they were spraying crops with. So it was more of an energetic form and a sprayer that went like kind of like this, but people were seeing it as a sickle. That's what I came to find out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a bad boy here. The Dullahan is recorded in fairy and folk tales of the Irish peasantry. An omen that sometimes accompanies the banshee. Right there is Coachbauer. It says here, Costi Bodhar, apparently is how it's pronounced. An immense black coach mounted by a coffin and drawn by headless horses driven by the Dullahan. Imagine you're walking down a country road and there's a huge, apocalyptic-looking stagecoach. The horses, and there's, Dullahan, headless horseman creature. It sounds like a frightening tale. If I was a little boy, I think I'd be staying in my bed and not going out in the middle of the woods.
Exactly.
In the middle of the night.
You see that's enough to crap your pants right there. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and I must disagree with you when you said that the Grim Reaper is the most Halloween thing of all time. For me, it'd probably be Candy.
Can it be what?
Candy.
Well, yeah, there you go. Candy number one.
Candy.
Candy number one. Grim Reaper number two. Dracula number three.
Yeah. I want candy.
That thing is creepy, actually. Yeah.
Brain.
And zombies are in that list too. So yeah.
I know. I love it. Yeah. And imagine, or a lot of things. Well, okay. Wicca, witch practicing. I myself, I could probably step on a broom and fly away off onto it if I really wanted to, I imagine. But that's something you and I should get into, Chris. We should start practicing some white Wicca. And,
Yeah, I kind of already do with what I do for a living. It's basically just using earth magics. White witch magic is essentially just earth magics. Black magic, on the other hand, is essentially harming people, stealing energy from people, like the reptilians do, doing what is called karma.
Being a vampire.
Yeah, being a vampire, energetic vampirism, all those things, dumping karmic debt on people. That is all black magic, and doing things of that nature.
Well, everything has power in numbers. That's why I say we should practice together sometime. And I might try to start a little skit. And speaking of, here's a little treat and a trick for you. Trick or treat. We might have to occasionally, maybe every other episode, we might start doing a little remote viewing exercise. To where I'll have somebody, and honestly, I'll get in on it too. I won't know what's in the box, but everybody will. You can come back and listen to this episode. You don't have to do it live or anything, but we'll reveal it what the object was in the next episode.
There you go.
Spend 5-10 minutes longer if you want to dedicate time to enhancing your psychic capabilities. And guess what's in the box? Try to envision it. The shape, the color, whatever comes to your brain, whatever sense. And try to put the clues together after you try to remote view this object from where you're sitting. Sounds funny, but you'll be amazed. And just think, if you end up getting it right. What feelings you'd have.
Yeah, and then when you do that, put all the answers in the comments, to see what you get the next time. Yeah.
We might do that in the future, so get prepped for that. It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be good exercise for everybody to get in on everything and enhance their psychic capabilities and connect with a deeper level of whatever the hell there is out there to connect with. There's a lot out there. And right now, it's lore season, baby.
Yeah, the perfect time of year for ghouls, goblins, and lore. Yes.
Yes, that is it. Yeah, good time of year. It says here, like the Doulahan, the Kosti Badhara, has made some surprising appearances in more recent pop culture. The first of which, Garbio Gil and the Little People, has terrified generations with its depiction of other staple of Irish ghostly legend, the Banshee. Right there. See how we're kind of interconnecting all these before we even read the rest of the article here. So you can kind of see how these creatures bounce back and forth with each other. And of course, people like Stephen King and can't think of it right now, but the Goosebumps series, they're creating these creatures too a lot of the time, or they're elaborating off the original story and making their own sideline story with it to entertain, basically, and create a fascinating story. But it works and it's cool.
Oh yeah, it does work. Yeah.
I think they're the best-selling authors of all time. They know how to get inside a person's head.
Oh yeah, and the thing it is with the Banshee, I came to find out it also straddled the fence when it came to either on the Tuathan side or the Fomorian side. You had harbingers of death. Which were creating the shrieking banshee noise, which Orions do make. If you were to kill one of them, or hit one of them, they make a shrieking, ungodly shrieking noise that just kind of goes and just makes this really horrible shrieking sound. And that's how it is if you were to say punch one of them in the face. But it's like the banshees, I've noticed they can either be good or bad. It's like those type of they're like an elf type that got either put on one side of the battle or the other with the Tuathans and the Fomorians. I've noticed. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that interesting. And then the Orions used him as a servant to basically make the shrieking noise, so people would become accepting of someone actually dying. Think of it this way: it's more of a contractual form of consent. When say you create a condition by which people are acceptant of. And they go, they don't want me to say this. Okay, a condition by which people are accepting of. Say people heard the shriek, and they go, oh, somebody's going to die, and then they end up co-creating that and giving permission to those Fomorians to actually kill somebody. Think Grim Reaper, death, taking people, taking the energies, taking the souls. So they gave permission. Yeah.
Sounds like the Pac Eisenhower signed to exchange alien technology for human test subjects.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the government did in the 50s for signing a contract with the Greys. The same identical type of thing, like a Faustian contract, to where they agreed to have people abducted in exchange for scientific advancements, and technological advancements.
And please, kind space brothers, if you're out there listening to this transmission, please save the planet Earth. Only kind and
benevolent, kind of benevolent.
Nothing even. What I want to say is nothing even to less than 95% kind and benevolent is not welcome here. 95% or above.
There you go. Exactly. If I could encourage anybody,
that might live a very thin race of whatever people out there to travel here and save it.
Yeah, exactly. And they even the good guys won't necessarily save, but they don't necessarily want an extinction event either. So the good guys agreed to step in if something would extremely happen. Like some of the good groups like the Mozen and the Saranan groups and such, other Cassiopeian groups and such that are out there. Some of the Pleiadian ones that are out there. Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. A lot of these races are master manipulators, master deceptors. And trick or treat, well, there's your trick.
Yeah, no treat after that.
Be tricked.
Or the treat is the trick, is they? So
Yeah, enticement.
Exactly.
Take this magic potion and spell and see what the hell happens to you.
Exactly, and see what you turn into. It could
either be the elixir of life, or it could be Jim Jones Kool-Aid.
Exactly. Either way, you've given consent to somebody to essentially take you. Yeah,
and use you and abuse you and take control of you and deceive you, manipulate you, basically walk all over you, drag you behind the Dullahan's carriage, or what was it called? The Kosti Badhar. The Kosti Badhar stagecoach. Imagine being drugged behind like that. That's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, and also, interestingly enough, some metaphysical people kind of hate me for saying this, but it is also, this time of year also is known as the harvest, the Samhain or the Samhain. Now, the reason you see the Grim Reaper associated with it and harvest is because it was a harvester of souls. Well, this is also associated with the Law of One book series, which is the Ra group says there would be a soul harvest given at a certain time. They were servants of these Grim Reaper type of figures that would get people, again, to consent to, oh yeah, harvest was a good thing. No, harvest means you're plucking for food, guys. That's the only thing that means. You're harvesting something, extracting an ingredient. That's essentially what that means. There is no soul harvest, which is an ascension. This is what some of the metaphysical people don't like me for saying this, but it's like, the truth in the terminology, to harvest is to consume, and that's essentially what's going on, is a looshing of energy and soul energy. So, yeah, and it's a soul, basically a soul trade that's going on in there in the galaxy. So, yeah, people hate it when I bring the soul trade up, but that's what's going on, yeah.
Yeah, no wonder. Like I said, you can combine that with energetic vampires, then you're really going to be sucked dry.
Yeah, and energetic vampires, and also it's depicted correctly in the movie Jupiter Ascending, where these aliens are turning people to like a monatomic gold type of dust, and that's essentially what these Fomorians or Orions are harvesting from people when they take the soul energy. When they consume it, it's turned into like a powder, which is monatomic gold. So.
And like Chris said there, and picking back up on this, it all being played in pop culture. And right here, she mentions The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. That's an excellent movie. Everybody needs to watch it. It's so good.
Oh, I saw it. That was good. That was good.
It's good. And it goes here. Most recently, a reimagining of the trophy appears in the final. I can't read today. Let me get right where I'm at. I'm misplacing myself. Most recently, a re-imaging of the trophy appears in the final vignette in the Cohen Brothers Western Ballad Buster Scruggs. where a group of immoral people spend what may be their final journey bickering with each other as the death stagecoach brings them closer to the destination. And they're just bickering in their final days, and wham. And then there's another scene in there. I don't want to get the whole movie away, but you remember the first kind of set or scene in the movie where that guy's like the quickest gunslinger in the West. And somebody finally beats him, and his angel rips out, his spirit rips out of him. He's floating, flying up to heaven, and that goes on. It's just so fun, you know. I'm glad that they mentioned that. I guess I'm getting excited to read all that, really, but I didn't think that'd be in there. But combining, you know, like lower stories, there it is, you know, you're making these things up to entertain these stories. You know, that's the amazing thing about it.
Yeah, that was a good set of stories. Was the Ballad of Buster Scruggs? Yeah, that if I could recommend one, that's good. Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of like a mini. Not a bad musical. It's not really a musical, but they have ballads in them, you know, short songs, and it's just good. If you guys haven't seen it, you'll enjoy it. But there's Dracula.
Ironically, there's a Dracula there.
Yeah. There. Pop out. Chris, you got anything you want to share?
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting that that's all been culminated in one grouping. Yeah, and also different myths like fairies, ghouls, and goblins are all part of this alien, essentially this alien agenda. If you heard about changelings that would steal babies in the night and stuff like that, and goblins, sometimes those are greys that would actually be exchanging the child for what would be what we call an inborn, where they essentially put a clone of a person in there with a different consciousness, and that person would be an infiltrator in society to keep society either fighting or bickering on some stupid level, and basically not making it so there was no peace, essentially. And these are all over the planet. These aliens are still doing it to this day. And it's been integrated into fairy mythology. But I also want to point out that there are good fairies and there are bad ones. There are good nymphs and good fairies, and bad nymphs and bad fairies. They essentially all look alike, except for the greys, you know, mixed with them. They don't look anything like the fairies. It's just that the greys got mixed up in there. Like different Orion and Zeta Eben forces got mixed up in there in the fairy mythology. But the baby stealers were the greys, or some of their servants, Orion, Fomorian type groups as well, Syrian, some of those groups. But there's also fairies that have Syrian and Pleiadian lineages as well that are actually very, very decent beings. And they're, just like I'd mentioned in a previous episode we did on the Voyage manuscript, there's a realm of different fairies that are actually good beings.
And that's a good mystery too. Go back and listen to that if you don't know what the Voynich manuscript is. It's amazing, interesting. Keep going. I had to plug that there.
Of course. But yeah, we've seen fairy beings here all the time. There's little ones they're called Aluzi fairies. They're about this big, and they'll sleep on flowers, and they'll fly around. They're like little tiny naked people flying around.
I'd be nervous if one landed on me if I wasn't paying attention. Wow.
Oh, that's actually happened, believe it or not. There is a story of somebody who didn't actually do that, but picked one up and accidentally injured it. That was another type of fairy being that you see. It's a tiny skeleton that people talk about that's only about this big. That was the skeleton of that being. That's a different type of fairy from Cirrus. That's another type. But there's also the other ones, the bigger ones that are human size. There's larger green-like ones, and then there's like these pink skin and blue skin like ones.
You know what I like to compare fairies with? The traditional fairy, like what you're talking about. There's different types of fae. I realize.
And fae and fairies, yeah.
People are thinking about. I compare humans to fairies. Horses to seahorses.
Well, there are similar genetics in there because a lot of these aliens screwed around through history and made all these weird combinations.
Yeah, all these weird alien-looking creatures.
Yeah, and just like in Greek mythology, you had Poseidon creating all these weird concoctions of creatures like the zebra and the giraffe, and he was trying to get up to the horse, but he made the seahorse, he made a giraffe, zebra, and he was trying to create a creature for Athena. And what happened was eventually he created the horse. But before that he created the centaur, the half man, half horse, and eventually he got to the horse. So It was a lot of experimenting going on. That was just an early story of genetic manipulation, and that's also with the fairies that show up all the time. Some of them are sexual energy gatherers, and other ones are ones that help protect and help bring peace to the land as well.
Interesting. Here, I got another one to share with you all. And this is cool. Why is it cool? Because it comes from Scotland.org, all right? Scottish myths and folklore and legends. They read through some of this, whenever everybody gets time. You can look at the link up there. Find it. But the one that I want to go over, there's a lot of cool stories. Like I said, too much to talk about in an hour time.
Oh yeah, there's way too much to talk about in an hour.
Too much to talk about, but a cool one is this. And we want to talk about pipers here. And pipers have a very long history, when it comes to the history of their world and what they try to do with their lives. Pipers were kind of looked up to people, kind of the Kenny G of their day, if you could say. I don't know what better way to describe them. They had that. If you were a good one, you had that reputation. But I don't like the way they have it written out here.
It's a little small, yeah.
It's very separated here either. It goes right here. And I like the way that they say it here. And I must forgive me for this. I just got a 49-inch ultra-wide monitor, and it's like kind of screwing with me, like looking around and everything. I kind of have to look 3-4 times.
He's got a strange monitor, yeah.
Yeah, big ultra-wide monitor, so it's like a little bit freaky to look at some of the time. But we go, the unmistakable blast of the bagpipes is a common sound in Scotland, particularly in our cities and at festivals and celebrations. But what happens when the piper himself vanishes into thin air? There are several stories of phantom pipers throughout Scottish history and folklore. In days gone by, a dark network of tunnels was said to extend from the Cove of Greenock to the cliffs of Planyard Bay near Stranraer. Icelandic language, Scottish language, and names the good luck. Locals believed that fairies lived in these tunnels and caves, and no one dared to go inside and disturb them until one day a piper boldly entered the caves. He played his pipes loudly, accompanied by his faithful brown dog. The music drowned on for hours, slowly fading away until it couldn't be heard. Suddenly, the dog ran out of the cave, terrified and howling without any other terror. The piper was never seen again. Although the caves are now long gone, on summer nights, passers-by have heard the distant sound of bagpipes coming from deep under the ground. Perhaps it's the wind whistling through old underground caves. Maybe it's just a trick of the mind, or maybe, just maybe, it's the spirit of the piper playing his Scottish melodies forevermore.
That's actually interesting because under the ground, especially in Scotland and the Orkney Islands and such, there's a lot of, and also in Iceland and Greenland, there's a lot of fairy and elf activity there. And there's also a lot of reptilian activity and these weird bat-like creatures that live under Scotland too. I can't even find out. There's these weird things with horns that go up kind of like this. They look like a reptilian, but they have wings and they have more bat rodent-like features. And and also there's reptilians there as well. What these people are hearing is not only a residual, but some of these creatures are using that residual of the bagpipes to kind of lure people into an area or lure them into a pattern. Reptilians like to do this too, where they'll use it to try to get people to come to them, or some negative nymph-like beings will try to lure them in, or sirens, like what happened in the Odyssey, where Odysseus had to tie himself to the mast of the ship so he didn't hear the siren song. It's very, very similar to that. There's water ones, and then there's also land-type ones as well. Where they'll lure people into an area, and some of them are cannibalistic too. I came to find out. But in Iceland and also in a lot of the Scandinavian countries and Celtic area, there's also some underground elves that are kind of deteriorated as well, that they will capture people and bring them into those caves. Those bagpipers, what they were probably trying to do in the originally was trying to repel a lot of the evil that was there with the tones. But these darker forces probably take it and then mimic it, or it's a residual that they're using to try to lure people in. Now they reversed it. So
Yeah, just like what you were saying there earlier about the changeling. You want to talk about manipulation, deception. That it's supposed that the changeling can mimic people's voices, like your mom or your cousin or whoever the hell is close to you in your life. Hi, come in here. Mom,
yeah, mimicker
mom.
demons. Yeah, mimicker
Yeah.
demons. Yeah, those are the mimickers can take any form. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but a
Oh, no,
mimicker.
it's all good.
A mimicker can take pretty much any form. A wall of a house, they can really hide in the wall of a house. They can take the form of like a power box, a door, or anything like that. But sometimes they're locked into a certain time frame, so they're mimicking something old on top of something new. Mimicker demons, again, they can whistle. They can take the voice form of anything. Draco and other greys and changelings can do the same thing. Fairies can do the same thing. But with mimickers, there's a certain specific thing I've seen them do in modern times. Like they'll take a cell phone ringer, and they will whatever it is, and mimic that as they're approaching you to take your energy. Sorry, there was a bug. But yeah, this what they do is, and I've experienced this even there in Nebraska. I experienced this where I thought the cell phone alarm had gone off, and then I saw in this almost semi-dreamlike state, Joanna was next to me laughing. That was the being that was laughing, that was doing the mimicking of the cell phone, trying to get close to me. And so therefore I found out it was a mimicker demon that was on the property, and I had to get rid of it. What they look like is basically the standard ghoul and goblin like look, but in a cloud-like form of the face, and that they can then change shape into an animal or do something like that. Now their original bodily-like form is more like a Fomorian type form, but hunched over ghoul with a little bit stunted pointed ears, and they were in graveyards that they would gnaw on the bones of the dead before they took on like this more like almost like a cloud-like form. And it's essentially nanotech mixed with biological material to where they can shift in this cloud-like form, and they became their own weird computerized and ghoul-like dark energy life form after a while. And they're related to the Greys. They essentially are the Greys too, so it's the same thing essentially.
Interesting. And see, how do I want to say this? I guess that's what intrigues me about being in the middle of nowhere too. You don't know what the hell you come across. I mean, most of the time you hear people say that they see a strange creature of whatever, ghouls, ghosts, goblins, whatever these loreful creatures are still in existence today. It's usually out in the middle of nowhere. You know, the crappy videos that you see of people trying to make a buck, you can obviously tell what has been faked and what might be real with whatever tiny evidence that is out there, you know, video evidence. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, you know, you and I, we've seen strange stuff together that can't be explained. It just happens randomly. And that's a bad thing for, you know, such encounters whenever they do happen. You know, your emotions take over, you know, whether it's joyfulness, fear, just whatever end of the spectrum emotionally and whatever goes on in your mind, you know. It's funny we're talking about this now, you know, synchronicity of the conversation here. But this time of year was always our favorite time to go on ghost hunts, you know, when we lived, you know, closer together instead of states away now. Mm-hmm. But this would always be, we tried to do a lot of hunting this time of year. I remember one of our probably last ones was the Seven Sisters Road of Nebraska. And very freaky road. If you want to talk about a Halloween story or a Halloween movie could be shot out there. Story goes with that. Apparently there was a land dispute on this Seven Sisters Road, and the main version of the story goes that there was a land dispute, and these seven sisters ended up selling the brother out of all of his land, and Mr. Brother got mad and apparently ended up killing all of his sisters and hung them in through the hills there. And the next Sunday morning church service ended up doing it out in the hills, and they discovered all the dead bodies of the sisters. So a very freaky place. And I remember we need to try to go through some old EVP evidence sometime. We should have, or sometime we'll have to try to play it for people, some of our good EVPs that we have to.
Yeah, from that area, and also when we went to Dorchester Cemetery as well that night.
Remember when we were hearing those chains in the middle of the night? It sounded like there was chains, and there's some Celtic creature that I was hearing about. I was listening to an audio book here a month back or so about Celtic creatures. I forget what it was called, but I wish I could remember. But I remember the gal saying that was reading the book, just he was whipping his chains in the graveyard, and that's what we heard. It was freaky.
Yeah, and also I remember seeing, you guys were freaked out by this, but you may have gotten a mind wipe or something on this too. I saw this large being that was there striking a headstone with a chain. I even saw the spark from the metal on the stone, and I could see clearly it was a big hairy looking thing with one eye that I was seeing. And I found out it's a type of cyclops. You want to talk about a creepy ghoul type. There is this hairier cyclops type thing with a pointed chin. Looks like he has a goatee like a goat, but he has like a one eye. There's also the goat satyrs as well that look like goat creatures as well. There's goat squatches and there's satyrs. I want to make the difference there. But this creature in Dorchester was with one eye, and that's what was striking the chains. These creatures love to have chains, and they do the things with the chains. And they're rarely seen. They're incredibly difficult to ever locate. But we just happened to see one out there in Dorchester. You saw it and freaked out, but then, I don't know if it mind wiped you or something, but I saw it.
I don't know. I kept hearing it.
You heard it, yeah.
And the thing is that there's irrigation sprinklers in the area, but they were not on. Late in the harvest season, and it wasn't a possibility. We tried deciphering it afterwards, and I remember looking to make sure that wasn't it. It was freaky. And San Francisco Road one was real freaky too. I remember I'll try to get mine out. I asked who's here and who wants to communicate when I was standing in that tree grove, and it sounded like devil.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, oh yeah, it was. You want to talk a very Halloweeny place, everyone. Seven Sisters Road and Dorchester Cemetery, along with Union Cemetery, which is out in the middle of nowhere. If you ever get to Nebraska, all these little cemeteries. If you hit it at sometime 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning. Also, Eagle, between Alvo and Eagle. I want to point this out too. I went there one time. This was quite a long time before you and I met. Went there with somebody else, and the graveyard. We thought people there in Alvo and Eagle, in between there, we thought people had already arrived at the cemetery. These were already solid ghosts that were wandering the cemetery. I could literally walk amongst them, and they were putting their arms towards me and everything. The person I was with at the time was freaking out. He was ready to crap his pants, but I wanted to see what would happen if I walked with them. And they pointed their arms towards me. What had happened was this person took a picture, but all he got were colored swirls. He didn't get the full body forms we were seeing. We thought a whole group, a couple of paranormal groups were already there. And these were solid forms. I could literally touch them. So, yeah. That, and there was another one that happened here in Arizona several years back as well. I was watching the kids of our roommates and friends at the time in our Tempe house. This was back in 2009. And another add-on to this was further on in time too, in 2012. But what happened was I was sitting on the couch facing, the TV was here, and looking out, there was a pool there. We had a swimming pool. And all of a sudden I saw this kid being flung into the pool, and it splashed the water. I figured, oh crap, one of the kids got out, and I went to go look. And the water was still doing this, nothing there at all, nothing. And it was like, then I came to find out there was a murder-suicide on that property where a father had murdered his son by drowning him and then murdered his wife and killed himself. And later on, in 2012, when I was back on that property again, I thought one of the maintenance people was standing outside. And I walked outside, and I saw this guy in tattered jeans and a ripped up t-shirt and everything. And I figured, okay, this is probably the pool guy or something like that. And I touched his shoulder. This guy turned around, and you want to talk about zombie. The kids had been telling us for months that there was like zombies on the property, and we kind of blew it off a little bit. But when this guy turned around, he was all shredded and decayed looking and everything. The only time I've ever seen a zombified ghost was that, and that was the father that had taken a shotgun to his own head. And that one and only time I saw this really ripped up.
He didn't have an open casket funeral, did he?
Yeah, we looked it up, and this
I hope not.
Yeah, we saw that it happened sometime in like the 80s or something like that. And it was like we got mad at the owner of the house for not disclosing there was a haunting there, and he didn't believe in it, so he didn't disclose it. But it was but this guy turned around and he was all shredded, and then he just vanished right in front of me. And it was just like one of the only few ghost occurrences that creeped me the hell out. That was it right there.
And we try to share stories, a little bit at a time because we've had a few, but you don't want to run out. I want everybody to comment their favorite experience they've had, whether it be a ghost sighting, UFO, whatever creepy experience you had in your life. 'Tis the season to share away. We'd like to hear about them. We like learning from people's experiences, learn from their sightings. And don't be bashful or shy. There's other people who have had similar things or the exact same thing happen to you. But comment that, and comment one more thing. Chris, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
Halloween candy. Oh God.
Trick or treat candy.
Yeah, it's somewhere like between Milky Way and Three Musketeers.
Oh yeah, and we're in a similar boat. It's probably either Kit Kat.
Kit Kat. There's a good too. Yeah.
Yeah. You like my baby?
Yeah, that thing's actually pretty creepy. To tell everybody, years ago, also, I was going to try to play a practical joke on my grandmother with an animatronic version of one of those, and my mother wouldn't let me get it at the time, but because my grandmother had a heart condition, so she didn't want me to freak her out too much. I was going to have it crawl in the middle of the night and grab and
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Might give her a heart attack.
Yeah, that's what she was worried about at the time. So yeah, so she didn't let me do it, but we thought it was a funny idea though.
Bad baby.
God. Also, those things will freak dogs out too if you just leave it sit.
I know. Penny, she hates it.
Also, yeah. Well, we're also getting towards the end of the show here, but we can try to bring in Isaac or somebody to talk about what's.
Sure, I'll ask him about this next preacher. I'll read this little bit, and you can elaborate off of this preacher.
Okay.
Be a perfect preacher to end the show with and talk about.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'll screen share here. Isaac, you here?
Oh yeah, I can hear him. I thought you were going to read the article and then he.
Oh no, go for it. I want him to elaborate off of it.
Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, he's always here. He talks through that edifice I made with the skull and the two pipes going up. So yeah.
It's nice. You have to show it sometime.
Yeah, actually, hang on. I'll do it here on too. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go.
Look how cool that is. Oh, whoops. Let me get out of here.
Yeah. I know
cool.
the screen. I know the background's on, but yeah, this is what he uses. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll put this right here. Yeah, it's a fairly powerful orgone piece too.
And real quick, Chris, you better plug that in too. Where you going to be at this coming weekend? You going to FearCon?
Yeah, I'm going to be at Phoenix FearCon this weekend. By the time people see this episode, of course, we've already done it, but it's like
I forgot about that.
But Phoenix FearCon, one of the first and only Halloween type event that we've done. They're going to be, or will have by this time, showing a Star Wars fan film, and they're doing sci-fi and horror type themes there, and it's a very long event. We'll see what we can sell at those events, but yeah, I thought that that's actually a very good plug-in for that, because the following year we're probably going to do it again. So
yeah, you guys, if you're in the Phoenix area or if you want to go to any of those events, I know that you guys will be there, and I can tell you that you'll have fun being there.
All right.
I never get to go, but I know it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, those psychic fairs and everything are actually interesting and fun. Yeah, we make a lot of sales and all that. So yeah, we sell our orgone pieces. This one that Isaac uses is a one of a kind. Actually, not necessarily one of a kind. There's only one other one in existence somebody purchased from me, and I regretted selling it. So I made another one. So there's only two in existence. Yeah.
Hey, Chris makes good pieces. And I ain't saying that to make his head big or make him go, but he makes good pieces.
Well, yeah. Thank you. We work our ass off on those. So yeah.
Yeah, everybody check him out.
Okay, Isaac, what did you want to? Okay, give me a minute. All right. I could see him put his hand up like that, so it was like
Pop on through.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, having that piece close enough, it makes you kind of have chills too, you know. All right. Appropriate for Halloween, so.
Yes.
Yes, through the crystal, not my brain, Isaac. Okay, let me see. All right. Yes, this is Isaac again for this great Halloween conspiracy sector. One of my favorite times of year as well. This is a time now where now you can ask away.
Perfect. Well, I want to end this episode. Thanks for popping through. I want to end this episode with the legend of Kelpies. And earlier we talked about a comparison. We talked about horses to seahorses and different creatures along that line. Even a Doulahan headless horseman, his war horse, death horse. Now I want to end the night with Kelpies, which is another horse-like creature. And this comes from Scotland.org as well. The mythical Kelpie is the Scots name given to a supernatural water horse that was said to haunt Scotland's lochs and lonely rivers. It has usually been described as appearing as a horse, but it is able to adopt human form. However, some accounts state that the Kelpie retains its hooves when appearing as a human, lending to its association with the Christian idea of Satan. Robert Burns alludes to this idea in his 1786 poem, Address to the Devil. The Kelpie would appear to its victims as a lost, dark, gray, or white pony, but could be identified by its constantly dripping mane. It would entice people to ride on its back before taking them down to a watery grave. One specific story talks of a Kelpie captured by the Laird of Morphine. The Laird harnessed the strength of the horse from Kelpie by using halter stamps with the sign of a cross. The captor forced the Kelpie to carry heavy stones to build his castle, and when the work was complete, the Laird released the Kelpie, who was understandably unhappy in its treatment. The Kelpie cursed the Laird of Morphine, a reason popularly believed to explain the extinction of the Laird family. And see, this just goes to combine everything, the creature, the enticement, the manipulation. This is the ultimate creature when it comes to everything that can drag you into evil, I guess. Could you elaborate off of that of not being drug into evil, and elaborate off of some of these creatures? Get some insight.
The Kelpie, this is actually very, very interesting. Yes, there are hybrid creatures out there that can drag people to a watery grave. There are also mer types that will do the same, negative mer types, cannibalistic type ones that will drag people down in a form of almost like fishing, in a form of curiosity. They will drag people to their deaths. This specific creature, though, is a very, very interesting one that he himself did not even know about, even though there are combination creatures in history. This is one of those that was created by different alien species and brought together as an amalgam type creature, as more of a watchdog for an area. It was also used in ancient times to help cull societies, very much like a particular frog-like creature that also shares fish, reptilian, and amphibian DNA. This is something that is very, very similar to where it would cull societies and cull different people that were more compatible for its nutritional needs. Let's just put it that way. This particular creature would literally walk amongst people and look for different compatible prey, as a predator would do. As it would do this, you see, people then began to fear this creature and fear when certain times of year would come when it was more compatible to walk on land, you see. It can't do this at all times of year. It can only do this when certain moon cycles and planetary cycles are in place, as well as different Earth cycles, which would be this time of year, you see. Granted, people don't necessarily completely believe in this creature anymore, but it still operates even to this day, where it actually commits to adding to some of the missing people that is out there. There are other myrrh types other than the good myrrh and myrmidon that are out there that contribute to this as well. But this specific creature was also, as you would say, cursed to walk the lands, to actually commit to this activity. It was programmed specifically for this activity. There are not many of them left, mind you. But this particular creature had a job through history, and eventually these things will be culled out because they were more of a laboratory abomination that did not necessarily, as you would say, go through the ages. Very much like what he was saying about Poseidon creating the different creatures. This was a very similar story for this creature, where it was indeed horse DNA and different goat-like appendages, and shape-shifting type of DNA and other capabilities such as this. But it can walk amongst people as a human, very much like the mer people can, because some of their DNA was stolen in the process as well. So this is what this creature does.
Interesting. I guess we got time for one more, I imagine. Would you like to enlighten people on how they can enhance their connection to the spirit world and try to resonate with some of these stories for this season? We both know that this season is the highest spiritually, I believe, all year long. It just feels like it's ramping up right before the end of the year, and it's a good time to connect to the spirit world. Can you guide people that might be questioning that they want to connect deeper? Give them some insight.
Yes, the first thing is find time to find the quiet spaces. Find time to sit in silence your mind, and still the body. Do not always listen to all voices within the ether that try to steer your thoughts and steer yourself, meaning knowing who you are prevents any darkness from taking over. This does not mean that you do not learn about these different things, mind you, like he himself has and you yourself are. This just means that you have to find the meditated, quiet space to be able to connect to nature. Go out into nature as much as possible. Just do not follow stray voices into dark wooded areas or into watery depths. If you are a diver in the ocean, this has happened to people. There is also a fish creature that also does this as well, that lives more or less in Canada and Alaska, but I will not get into that currently. The premise is, if you are trying to connect, quiet the mind, but also know that there are thoughts that will pop into your head that seem like your own, that are not necessarily your own. It will be in your own voice and in your own vernacular. But then if you think back to them and say, who do you have here, or who do we have here? Then if you get that again, you've established a connection. Just be leery of what connections you make. Always discern which is more dense and which is more lighthearted within those connections. Always remain grounded. Always visualize your feet forming tree roots into the ground, getting rid of all blockages in your feet. Blessing your footsteps whenever possible, saying that they are disentangled from anything dark or anything that other people have left behind in the residuals. These are also keys of connecting, walking barefoot on the earth, or in areas where you are in a more private setting. If you could have a naked skin under the sun to reground, you also form a greater connection to the earth. Not that everybody can do this, but if you are in your own home, here is another area to ground in. You can connect your home to different devices like his, or you can take copper wire and pipes and such and ground to the earth. It is called earthing. You can ground your house to the earth, making it so that you can go into any room in your house barefooted and reground, therefore connecting more to what is. People always mess this up, you see. They always see a grounding as getting away from that is more in divinity, if you want to call it that, or more into a universal consciousness type of connection. And they always view the other as being ungrounded. This is simply not true. The more you are grounded, the more you have a connection to the earth and the connection that is all around. So in short, find the quiet times, find the space in your life to quiet the chaos, and you will have a greater connection to what is around and mystical.
Thank you for that good information. We shall see you next time, and happy Halloween.
Thank you. It was a pleasure always.
Always, intensely, yes. Boom, baby.
Yeah, he jumps in and out pretty quickly. Now, the creature he was referring to, that frog-like being that he was referring to, there's a frog being in Japan that would lure people into waterways, that would basically call them names, flip them off, do stuff like that, throw insults at people. And then they get them close to the water and they grab them and eat them, essentially. And that's essentially what he was referring to. And they live in some sewers and waterways here in the United States too, and in places I found out Missouri has a few of them too, and Nebraska has a few of them as well. So it's
crazy.
Yeah, they're a unique creature. They look like they have like shark-like teeth, but they're part fish, part frog, part reptilian, and it's
crazy.
Yeah, they're very creepy. I saw them in a past life dream sequence.
Shotgun blast, take care of them.
That, and also if you could get them away from the water for an extended period, they dry out like a husk. So it's like they have to be close to the water. They can't be more than like maybe 5 or 10 feet from like a waterway, or else the sun dries them out. So and they have to get back in the water. They like to hide as like rocks and stuff like that in waterways. You see the top of their head, but it's like has this like triangular look, kind of like a melted triangular candle look to it, And they'll pop out at people that get in the waterways and stuff like that too. But they've culled societies down. I had a past life, a dream sequence where they came up, where they were actually culling a particular society somewhere in Europe, somewhere in medieval times. And I remember this past life of mine escaped to a sewer waterway, and that's where some popped out and grabbed me. But that's how I originally found out about these creatures. It was a past life bit of information, but.
Regression.
Yeah, regression, and wanted to know what the thing with the teeth was, and that was it. So, yeah.
Well, I suppose we wrapped up another, and it goes quickly. I want to wish everybody have a good Halloween season and explore some of this lore and kind of discover something new and entice yourself, not by creatures, but by your own knowledge and your own enjoyment. Until next time, I want to wish you a good farewell, and you are now leaving the conspiracy sector.
Bye-bye, everybody, and have a happy Halloween.
Bye-bye.
You can see this gentleman is a mason.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to tell us of any secret trades that you took part in?
Who is it we have here? Is it William?
Or Bill? Ada and William. Ada, do you have anything to tell us?
I heard somebody on a telepathic level. A female. Heard somebody on a telepathic level asking for an angel. Is that true? Huh? You want an angel, go to the other side. I can help you out with that. I feel some people leaving, going to the other side through that open doorway. That's good. What was that?
I'm hearing a couple of really prominent voices. Can we have a name for you?
What was that?